Okay guys, welcome to another studio rebuild, reconfig update. This is day 3 now. If you have not seen the first 2 videos, I'll link them in the description box below. Pardon me. Again, just like in the last 2 videos, this is all being shot, which is my action cam using the onboard microphone. So I apologize for the lighting and the audio. Just trying to give you kind of a behind the scenes. So yesterday where we left off, in the last video, we finally moved the racks over here, and we talked about that in the last video. So since that time, last night I got a second wind, and I cleaned up all the power cables that were down here for the most part from the last video. And as you can see now, the record collection is back in place. Everything is put back, and that part of the project is done. So what I have left here on the floor is a bundle of wires here with some yellow Velcro ties. That is all the video HDMI cables and whatnot that run over to our video capturing station, as we talked about in part 1 or part 2, I forget. So those are going to stay, but what I'm going to do is, the reason why I elevated the racks, these racks off the floor with a stand, is so I can run the wires underneath. Because I have to go from here to here, and I couldn't really get behind the bookcase too much, so I'm just going to run them underneath that rack, so I'll still have access to them and come out here, and so we'll see how that's all going to work. So the goal for today is a couple of things. I don't have a lot of time today, so it's going to be a shorter day, but what we're going to do is we're going to get, we got, like I said, all the record stuff back. We got my speakers in here, and my turntable, and my receiver now is moved down here. I want to get all that hooked up and working. So I got to do some, the only wiring you got to do is I got to hook up the receiver to the turntable, get the wires to the speakers, and then at least I'll have that part of it done so I can listen to music while I'm working down here. I always like listening to my vinyl during some downtime. So I want to get that done today and put that project to bed. Then step 2 is going to be start removing all the cameras. Got cameras up here, we got shotgun microphones that you might be able to see, we got cameras over here. All the camera stuff's got to be moved and disconnected, get out of the way. We're going to pull the console forward. We're going to remove the monitors and the stands, second screens, all that stuff. All that stuff's got to go, and I got to get the console pulled out. So when I get the console pulled out, that'll give me access to start disconnecting all these cables here. All these D-subs all go to the console. And it allows me to clean up behind the console and get all the wires, you know, rerouted and out of there. So that'll be, if I can just get to the point where I can get the console pulled, get all the stuff moved from behind it, the speakers, the cameras, even if I don't start disconnecting all the wires today, at least that gets me prepped. Because I really can't start working on the server rack until all this stuff is out of here, because you just can't get to it. So in order to get to that, I need to remove the speakers. I gotta get room back here so I could get over here, start disconnecting everything, so I can eventually pull this rack forward. That's not gonna happen for a day or two, maybe tomorrow or the next day. But today is turntable, record stuff, hook up all my speakers, done. Take all the cameras down, the speakers down, pull the console forward, and get prepped to start disconnecting all the D-subs from the console one at a time. That might start today, it may not start today, but between today and tomorrow, that'll be the goal. And then once that's done, then I'll start working on that rack. So that's the update so far this morning. Again, we're looking pretty good. We're getting there. I'm starting to really like it now. I was a little unsure about how far away these racks are sitting, but now that I got the records back and I got the room cleaned up a little bit, I'm feeling way better about it. You know, when everything is all over the place, I'm sure you guys have known, you guys go through this too. When there's just crap all over your studio and you're ripping everything apart, you get nervous like, oh man, was this the right move to make? Should I have moved all this stuff? But once you're in, you're in. Going back is not an option. At least not an easy option. So now that I got, you know, this floor all cleared out and, you know, I got everything put back, it's starting to look really better to me. And once that server rack goes and this place is completely clean and wide open on either side of the console, that's going to be really, really nice. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then the other thing I might start thinking about doing is I'm going to, as I replace and reposition my cameras and stuff, I'm going to try to get rid of tripods and see if I can get something mounted on the wall with an arm, something to clear up the floor space, you know. I'm going to try to do that. I did that over here with this camera. I mounted it right to the server rack, and that worked out really good, that other angle. So I'm going to try to do the same thing with the other camera. I'm going to try to get as many things off the floor as humanly possible. Same thing with this shotgun mic, which is really just safety audio. I usually record everything with a lav, but in case that craps out, I need some kind of safety. So this goes to an audio interface, but it's on this huge boom pole, on this huge C-stand. I might somehow try to maybe mount something to the wall that comes over, I don't know, or I have my cloud up here, so it's really not possible. I don't know if I could somehow hang it from the ceiling. I got to think about that too. I want to try to declutter some of this because, you know, the room is a good sized room, but, you know, it isn't a huge room. And so, you know, I don't like to feel claustrophobic and tied in. That's part of the reason why I'm moving all this stuff around, is because I'm trying to make the space feel a little more open. And so anyway, enough of that. So that's where we are. I will come back with an update as I start to make some more progress. Okay, gang, next update here. So we finally, as I said a little earlier, we finally got the record player hooked up and all the vinyl back and everything is working there. We're listening to a little bit of Buckingham and Nix. Who remembers that from the early 70s, long before Fleetwood Mac. So we're not listening to it in this video because I don't want to get a copyright strike. Anyway, we have now removed all the cameras, all the video cameras that were on this side and on the other end of the console have been removed. And we pulled the console out, as you can see. And I've gotten all the cables kind of untangled and straightened across the floor here. So now the next step is to go behind the console and to start disconnecting these things one at a time. Now, fortunately, they're all labeled. If you remember when we installed the console, Dave and I had labeled them all. So everything's got a label on it, which is great. I'm going to start down at the far end, unscrew everyone, untangle them, and start pulling them and coiling them up. Because eventually all these have to route, they're all going this way. They all got to come this way, as we said earlier. So that's the next big thing for today. If I could just get that done, that would be great. And then once that's done, I can take the other monitor out of here, the other focal. I removed the first one on the left side, but this, once I get these cables out, this stand and stuff is all going to come out. These will all be gone at this point. They'll all be coiled up. And then that'll be it for today. And then tomorrow we start back here. And as you'll see, it's just an absolute rat's nest. This is going to take the longest. I mean, there's just cables everywhere. Sorry about the shaky camera here. I mean, it's just crazy, the amount of cables that are involved in this system. But it is what it is. And then we'll be able to clean up all that stuff down there. All this stuff is all going to get cleaned up and reorganized. So it's just going to be much nicer when it's done. But we are in the thick of it now, boys and girls. So that's what we're going to do. So this update's going to be short and sweet. Just wanted to show you where I'm at. Console is pulled, cables are straightened, start disconnecting, getting all these coiled up. And the other thing that I'm really worried about, I mean, I'm just worried that a lot of these cables are just not going to be long enough to go from the far side of the console all the way around to the patch base, because these are now sitting a little further away than they were before. And when we were replacing cables, Dave and I had the foresight to buy all 20 and 25 footers, but there's still some shorter ones in here, which would really be a drag. I don't want to have to spend another $2,000 on replacing some of these Mogamis that are now too short. I guess the good news is, though, if I had to replace any, and if I had an extra abundance of short Mogami cables, 10 footers, 15 footers, on the used market, you could still get probably 60 to 70% of your money back because they're so expensive. So I may end up flipping some of them, whereas if you have cheap cables like Hosa, no one will give you anything for them. But Mogamis, they will. And so let's just hope I don't have to spend a ton of money, but it's too late now. We're already in the project. We're going to do the best we can. We're going to salvage as many of these as we can, and then the ones that we have to purchase, we just have to purchase. So when I rewire the console, we're gonna make sure we start on the far side and put the 25 footers there and see how far that gets us. Because not only do we gotta come around the console, but then we gotta come, you know, alongside here, and the patch bays are here. So they're gonna have to go like they were before. They're gonna have to come along the floor here and then go up to the back of the patch bays. I mean, so, man, I don't know. We're gonna have to see. I just hope. Oh boy, I hope this isn't going to be a cable nightmare. We're going to see. But anyway, that's where I'm at. I will record more footage. Once I get maybe most of these disconnected, I'll come back and update and show you where I'm at. Okay guys, an end of another day here. So, picked up where we left off at the last video. You'll see now that all the wires, all those D-subs that were on the floor are all now gone. I pulled the console into the center of the room, and everything behind the console is disconnected. So the console is completely disconnected. All the D-subs have been disconnected. It's a lot of cables. So if anyone wants to know, because a few of you have asked me, although it's in the first several videos on this channel when we were installing this SSL, wanted to know about the D-subs and what the front of the console looks like, or the back of the console looks like. And this is what it is. It's all D-sub. The whole console is one big D-sub connector. And then there's XLRs for mic lined in on all 32 channels. And it's the same all the way down here. Sorry about the poor lighting. So it's just one big D-sub if you didn't know. So, what's left? Well, what's left now is that. These are all the cables that go from the console to the interfaces. You can just see them. It's just such a mess. So this is tomorrow's project and maybe even the next day's. So now I'm at the point where I can start one cable at a time. I just got to start fishing these wires through, finding out where they go, making sure the other end is labeled properly, and then pulling each cable one at a time. That's the whole point of this. That's the only way to do this. And now I can remove the second speaker and the second stand to kind of open things up. And once that's done, tomorrow hopefully, then I'll be able to physically move this rack where it's going to go, over there, and then we'll start organizing all the cables. So there's still some cables here. Again, all these cables are going to go away tomorrow. And, you know, I don't know if this will all get done tomorrow. It may take a day or two to get through all of this, but I got to go through each cable one at a time and clean it up. And where I'm doing, if you want to know how many cables does it take to hook up an SSL, here's only part of the cables that came out of the console, plus everything you just saw on the floor. So there's probably, I don't know, 15 D-sub cables there, plus all the cables for all the gear going to the patch bays that we talked about the other day, plus everything that's on the floor here and everything that's in this big rat's nest going to all the interfaces. So that's how many cables it takes to hook up an SSL. So once they're all organized, coiled, and over on the couch, and this is all cleaned up, I'll have a better feel for what's what. And then we'll start figuring out, do we have long enough cables? We have enough cables. Are they all the right length? That's going to be the key. But now that the console is pulled out towards the center of the room, I have plenty of area back here to start working now. So that's tomorrow's project, is to just keep going a little at a time. Like I said, this is my third day, so I'm making good progress. You know, if I could get this all cleaned up and organized and moved in 5 days and then take a couple of days to rewire everything, that's not too bad. So that is where we are here at the end of another day. I will keep you posted as I make progress. But that's where you are, man. What a mess. Like I say, if you want to hook up, if you want a console and hardware, be prepared for lots of cables, because that's where it's all at, man. Tons and tons and tons of cables. But it's going to be all good when it's all done and it's all rewired. I think it's going to look great. It's going to feel better in here. It's going to feel a little less claustrophobic. And most importantly, we will have access to behind all the equipment, including that server rack, which is the whole reason why this project is started, is because we cannot get behind there to do anything. And it's just a nightmare when there's a problem. So this is all going to be good. It's just going to take probably another 4 or 5 days, maybe a full week to get it all done. But I will get it done, and then we will be back and rolling and making more videos and mixing for clients and doing all the things that I do here. So anyhow, that's it for now. I will update you guys probably sometime tomorrow. See ya. Okay, gang, we're here on the next day, next morning here. So what is our goal today? Well, last night I got a few more of the cables. The whole goal today is to get that server rack completely out of here and disconnected. I started some of it last night. I know it doesn't look like it, that's what's left. I disconnected all of the, or both of the NG levels and some of the quantums and started coiling up the cables again. So this is what's left here. So basically I'm sitting on my little stool, I'm going in from the side, and I'm disconnecting every single cable, and I am making sure that they're labeled appropriately. So again, I know exactly where they all get plugged back in the end. Here's the rat's nest from a different angle. So a lot of cables. I mean, it's just unbelievable the amount of cables. So, you know, and it's just snaking one cable at a time out of the rat's nest. So it takes time, but that's okay. One at a time, relabeling everything if they're not already labeled appropriately, getting them all coiled up and stored across the room on the couch like I showed you in the last section. So that's today's goal. And then once that rat's nest is done, then I got to unplug all the power conditioners and get rid of all the power cables. And then hopefully, I can get to the point where that's all disconnected and we can move our server rack over here where it's supposed to go. And if we can get to that point, that's a win for today. That's a win for today. Get that done. And then I'll have all the D-subs and all the cables. Sorry it's dark over here on the couch as I showed you. Turn on some lights here. So again, piles of D-subs. I don't have them organized by length yet. I'm gonna need to do that. I'll probably get one of my tables out here, and I'll just start, once I get everything done, I'll start going through them all and piling them up by size, by length. So I know the longest lengths are going to have to go from one side of the console to the other, and it's going to take a little bit to figure all that out. Hopefully I don't have to buy a ton of cables because things are not long enough. I don't think that's the case, but we'll have to see. I won't know till we get there. So that's it. That's the goal today. So the goal is get the server rack done, get the wires all cleaned up, the rest of the wires, get all this cleaned up, everything pulled out of here, get the server rack moved, and then finish cleaning up behind here maybe. There won't be too much left, but just organize things in a better way. And then once that's done, you know, tomorrow or the day after, then it's the rewire process. It's starting to rewire everything, one wire at a time. Hopefully that's all going to fit and everything's going to fit the way I'm expecting, and then we just start snaking cables. And that could take 2 days to wire this room by myself, but we're going to get it done. So anyway, that's where we are. Once we get to the point where the server rack is cleaned up or moved, or close to being moved, I will come back and give you an update. Okay, gang, next big update here. Look what we have here. We have a server rack now is officially moved. And if we come back over here, you'll see this is what's left of the rat's nest. Not too bad. I'm just going through each cable one at a time. We got a little bit more cleanup to do back here. But now here is where the resting place of the server rack is going to go. And then if we come back here, again, the whole point of this whole project for us, we have a little access way back here. And now we have, and again, sorry for the bad lighting on this one. We have all three racks side by side, so we have full access to everything back here. Now, there's going to be a ton of cables back here for sure, but we have, you know, way more depth. I don't know how well you guys can tell, but from the racks to the wall, I'll have to measure it. It's probably a good 4 feet or so, which is twice what it was before behind these equipment racks. We only had about 2 feet, maybe 2.5 before, and if you remember some of the older videos, now we have about another 1.5 feet, which is not a tremendous amount of room, but now we have access to the back of the server rack, which is so incredibly important. I can't even tell you, when you see the amount of cables that came out of this thing, to be able to have to come back here and walk back here and put a little stool down on the floor and sit behind the rack and work on something and wire on something or change something around or troubleshoot a problem is huge. Huge. And then back on the floor here in the corners, we could put the UPSs, all that stuff. So even though it looks open right now, it's going to be massively crowded with cables. But we're going to have, because of all this extra space and because everything is side by side now, we're going to have a much easier time with cable management, I think. So the way everything is going to kind of run now is we have a gap here on the side. This is where all the cables from the console are going to come. So they're going to come, you know, from the console, right? It's going to run along the floor. Again, sorry for spinning you guys around here too much. It's going to run along the floor. Well, this is going to, the console's going to be back another, you know, back further, obviously. It's going to run along the floor in here, in this pocket, like a big trunk of cables. And then it's going to go off to either the computers, the power conditioners, or the equipment. So this is kind of what it's going to look like. I'm really starting to like this now. Now that I see the room more opened up, that corner is completely opened up, which is great. The only thing that's going to be over there are the two speakers. It's just going to make everything look so much, I feel, when you're working, so much less congested and just feel less claustrophobic, I think, anyway. And then the racks are here. Now, the only reason why these racks, I mean, technically they could have gone back even further. I don't think we need that much room behind the racks, but then you have no way to get back there. And this is as far back as these can go for me to get a little walkway in there. There's no way to really, you know, to move these back to the wall, because then you can't get behind them at all. And that's okay. That's okay. You know, I think it's really cool. So anyway, that's where we are now. So another big update. It took me about 3 half days of physical work to disconnect everything you've seen thus far, to disconnect everything and get everything physically moved. I'm still cleaning up wires. We still got bins of power cables, and I'll go through all of that. All the D-subs are on the couch. We're gonna go through all of that, and I'll show you how many D-subs, you know, take a guess below in the comments if you wonder how many D-sub cables you think are in this system. I don't even know. And while I'm doing that, I'm listening to some vinyl. Today we're spinning Eric Clapton's Slow Hand at 70 live at the Royal Albert Hall vinyl. They only made a limited run of these when it first came out. This is a beautiful set if you're an Eric Clapton fan. So we got a nice gatefold here. Wonderful gatefold. Right, we got the DVD of the show here. I think it's a 4 LP set. Just love this thing a lot. Again, it was expensive. I think it was like 150 bucks when it first came out for this, but you can't get these anymore. These are out of print. So Eric Clapton, Slow Hand at 70. I know they make the CD of it too. If you're a big Clapton fan, that's what we're spinning today. So I'm so happy I got my records hooked back up, and I really like this over here now. I'm so much happier with that setup, and I'm starting to, you know, get all my DVD collectibles and all my stuff that's been kind of stored away for a long time, kind of out in the open so I can enjoy it more. And now that I have, you know, access to the records a little bit more, hopefully I'll play a little bit more vinyl. So, got lots of stuff going on. So that's where we are. So, next step, probably you'll see in the next video, I'm going to finish cleaning up the rat's nest. Just clean up everything back here, get this thing nice and cleaned and ready to go. And then I'm going to take a break for the rest of the day here. I'm going to make it a short day. I'm going to sit on this and think about it, because the next step is to start rewiring everything. And that's going to be another 3 or 4 days worth of stuff. But anyway, we've made lots of progress, and I'm really happy. And it's been kind of therapeutic, actually, working down here all alone with no one to talk to, just listening to my music and just disconnecting cables one at a time and getting a chance to clean up and make a little bit of a different scene here. So it's going to just feel different. It looks different. And I'm so excited to get my Focal Trio 6s. I can't wait to get those. Those are in about another week and a half. About another week, actually, from this video. I got a really good deal on the brand new version of those, and I'm really, really psyched to get those. And the other thing that's coming up too, people have asked me about this while it's on my mind. Here's the old Trinoff, the ST2 Pro. People have been asking me about the Nova. The Nova is coming here. We are going to get a demo unit. We're going to test it with the new app and stuff. I've been in touch with Antoine. They're shipping out the first week in November. They've been really delayed with manufacturing. But this will eventually, I'm working out a deal, hopefully with Trinoff, to work out a deal, maybe to trade this back in for the Nova. And because the Nova is a lot smaller, it's a 1 rack space, which could go here. And it's got a new app and everything, and it's just it's a more streamlined system. But anyway, so that's gonna be cool. So here we are, we're done for today, I think almost. We've now disconnected and moved everything. I may have another clip at the end of the video showing you all the D-sub cables, I'm not sure. If not, you'll see that at the beginning of the next video. So again, let me know in the comments below, how many D-sub cables do you think it takes to hook up all this crap? Here it is, all on the couch. Here it is. Here's all the D-subs. I mean, it's insane, right? I mean, I'm gonna sort them by size, and I'm gonna count them all, and you know, and add them up and see how much money I've spent. I mean, these are all Mogamis and Jumper Z. So these are about average $150 to $175 a cable, times however many, dozens of them. That's what it takes to hook up an analog console, boys and girls. So anyway, that's it for now. Next update, you may see something at the end of this video. If not, I will see you in the next part where we start getting ready to reconnect everything and get the studio back up and operational. See you guys soon.